Welcome, everybody, to another Thursday night episode of Tech Charge. This is episode 21. The podcast is now legal to drink. This is Turn Down for What Live. With me, as always, is the road trip towing maven Martin Meek, straight from Kansas. Good to see you, Martin. Welcome home.
Yeah, finally back.
Very, very cool. And as always, Mr. Worldwide, Jace Craft Miller. Looking forward to
How are we?
Yeah, doing great, man. I'm looking forward to following in your footsteps next week. I'm heading to Norway, and I always think about your
I
epic
can't believe
adventure.
it's next week already. Wow.
Yeah, man, it comes quick, man.
I'm so
No
excited for you.
idea.
It's such a cool place.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like, we've already kind of done a whole bunch of like different excursions and things that we've got booked for sightseeing. And only downside is it's on the west coast of Norway, and a lot of the EV infrastructure and kind of exciting things from that aspect are kind of on the east, Oslo and Bergen and those kind of places that we won't get to. But I'm sure there's still some. One of our things we're doing is in an EV boat through some canals, so that'll be cool.
I was going to ask you if you're going to go on the EV ferry at all. Is that the one, or is it a different one? Because there's like a really big one, I think, too, that uses like a megawatt charger or something.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll keep an eye out for that one. I
Yeah.
think this one that we've got booked is a more simple boat. It's just an electric boat and goes through kind of like
That's
like
awesome.
Venice canals or something, but these are electric boats.
Very cool.
So yeah, that'll be fun. And then depending on when my flight lands, because I leave on Wednesday, but I arrive on Thursday. I don't know. I have no concept of time and time travel and what it's gonna be versus the podcast.
Oh man, that one's a crazy one. It was Joe and I had some struggles with some jet lag. There are some good stories to tell about Joe and I about to go on stage to perform, not perform, but I guess talk about the Lightnings to the media, and we were we were really feeling it, man. The jet lag was getting us. So it's like it's a big jump. You're almost halfway like around the world. So it's a big one.
Yeah, it changes time. I think at 10 to 12 hours, something like that, forward, and then on the way back, like we arrived 2 hours after we left. According to the clock,
Yeah.
but obviously it's much longer on a flight. So I think it might be like a 10 or 11-hour flight, but then you lose an additional 6 hours forward or something. Like, it's an entire different day when I arrive.
Right.
So yeah, I'm assuming like this time I should just freaking Google it. Like, what time is it in Norway right now?
Yeah. My best advice is sleep on the plane, both there and back, but definitely on the way there. That I was watching the Cleveland Cavaliers play in I don't know if it's the finals or something, but I wasn't sleeping. Oh.
So, are you going to take a boat that big?
Let's see.
LNG battery powered. This was a big tug or something that I saw when I was off the coast of Louisiana a few weeks ago. I didn't share that with everybody, but this was a massive boat. So liquid natural gas feeding generators to batteries. So that was pretty
That's
cool.
interesting. Love to see the battery pack. Swap that battery, Martin.
Yeah. I'd like to go ahead and do that. You can get an idea how big it was. I mean, this thing is it's just huge.
That's cool.
So, yeah, it was cool.
So this time next week will be 2:30 in the morning on Friday in Norway. So unless for some reason I just can't sleep, I'm probably not going to make it on. If I'm awake for some reason, it'd be funny just to jump on and be like live from Norway just to do it. Yeah, 2:30 in the morning on Friday. So not likely. I don't think my wife and kids would enjoy that none too much.
You need all the sleep you can get. Trust me.
Yeah.
Even if you can't sleep, try.
My tough thing is sleeping on a plane is going to be that I use a CPAP machine. So I don't want to snore and wake up. I'm fortunate enough to be in like the first class section of the plane, and I don't think they're going to appreciate in any area, but certainly not there if I start ripping snoring episodes. As people are trying to enjoy their flight or sleep themselves. So yeah, it'll be an interesting thing to figure out, but I'm
excited for you. Now you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be cool. So Speaking of battery swaps, Martin, man, you just got home from an epic adventure where it kind of started with you taking a 2015 Model S, like just such a cool vehicle. Does it remind me? Does it have the sunroof? I keep forgetting if it had the sunroof.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was. In fact, I don't even own it anymore. It's already sold and gone.
Oh,
oh my god,
that car was a unicorn, and it just. I knew it wasn't going to last. I had 3 guys messaging me on my trip. Hey, when you get home, let me know. And 2 of them were like on it. I had to pick which one to make mad. One of them didn't get it, the other one did. So yeah, but it was really cool because
walk through the history, like walk through, what you did to it. It's got the sunroof, it's got the free supercharging, it's got the MCU2. Like walk through this. This is an epic car, man, and how well it did. And then would you sell it to someone local?
Yeah, I did. This car was a 2015. So from 12 to 16, early 16, and you can get some 17s in there that are free supercharging. But 12 to 15 for sure are all free supercharging for life on the Model S. And that, you think about that, and I had always had the opinion that the older legacy Model S's just didn't charge very well and they don't road trip very well. And I honestly have seen those when we're on lightning road trips and kind of overlooked them, thinking, oh, he's sitting there charging, it's going to take forever and this and that. And I got to tell you, with the way we had this car set up, it just wasn't the case. So this car was hitting the rear. I didn't do a full video on this because we were so pushed to get it done to take, because our lovely co-host Josh just had to have my Lightning before I left on the trip. And that was the plan, was to take my Lightning on the trip. That was our plan. I was under the impression it was going to be much more comfortable. Even though it turns out the Model S is very comfortable that year. So we had to push to get it done. So I didn't get to video or any of that. I was pulling 10-hour days. It felt like after work trying to get that car done. But we got it done and left like on a Wednesday morning. This car has all the options that you could get that year. So autopilot, which means highway autopilot, where you can go down the highway and just a little bit of pressure on the wheel and it drives. It'll go around corners. It does the blinker move lanes, just like the Lightning Blue Cruise does. The only difference in that year is you have to hold down the blinker while it's making the lane change, but not a big deal. Like you said, Chris, full sunroof, which actually turned out to be a hindrance. I would have rather had a car without a sunroof because
it doesn't have a shade, right?
No, it was dark tinted. I think they are dark tinted from the factory because the side windows weren't even tinted in this car. But we bought a couple of those little sticky back, and they're not really sticky, but because they don't lose their sticky, but you can just stick them up on the shade. We bought like a pack of 4 of them, and those were a game changer. If you're driving in your EV with that roof, you can pick those up. I think my wife got them on Amazon, and she stick them on the side window, she'd stick them on the windshield, up high, and then stick them up in the roof, and it would block that hot sun. Because we drove 4,654 miles from Kansas, a loop all through the southern United States, all the way up the coast to California, back through Death Valley, over to Vegas, across to the Grand Canyon, and then made a little detour. We were planning then to just drive straight back home across I-40, the boring Phoenix to, Flagstaff, that route. And my wife and I were talking about it. I was like, why would we take that I-40 85-mile-an-hour road when we can see some scenic drive? And I didn't realize that the road from the Grand Canyon, catty corner up through 4 corners through Durango, was going to be such a gorgeous drive. And it really was. So if you're looking for a good place to go drive in an EV, I would recommend staying off the interstates. For one, your efficiency is not very good when you're 85 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, even in a Lightning. But that was an interesting drive. So here's one of the shots I just had to share. One of the shots going across there. I mean, it was just
epic, man.
Yeah, just
beautiful.
It really is. I mean, the picture really doesn't do it justice. But so here's, of course we stopped at the Grand Canyon. I don't know how many of you guys have been there or seen that. You got to go see it at least once. It was really, Bob Ross can't paint this stuff.
Where did you do your charging? Did you stop at Sedona to charge first, or how did you?
I was going to get to that here in a minute.
Yeah.
So the lots of charging, and I've got a sheet that shows. But so here's a shot of we went up through when we were in Northern California, the redwoods. So this is the Taylor one that's down, and I think the one I measured across was like 26 feet across at the base. So really an interesting trip. But here's kind of the interesting part. So we did 4,654 miles, 1,523 kilowatt hours of energy. And I would like to say it was completely free, but it did cost me $12.
Oh, what? Ridiculous.
So yeah, when we were at the wedding, we were trying to get back to the venue, and there was an EA at the Walmart, and I wanted the car to be charged full, mostly when we were headed to the venue, because the venue was out southwest of Alpine, California, so not out in the middle of nowhere. And so I pulled in and did $12 worth of charging at that Walmart, because and I had also done the CCS upgrade when we took the car to Tesla. So when you build one of these Model S's or any Tesla for that matter, you have to take the car back to Tesla to be certified to be able to supercharge on the supercharger network. You can get the on the newer ones, they have CCS enabled, but on the older ones, you can have them put in a module and have the adapter and do that and charge at regular stations, non-Tesla CCS stations. So
that's a good call out, because people will. I don't know what the year was. The year where they need to start watching for that? If you buy a used, I think even some of the Model 3s, that if you buy them, not all of them came with CCS.
Yeah, not all of them did. We were looking at an 18 when we bought my daughter's. It was not CCS enabled, but you could turn it on, but with some stuff. I know her 22 is. I think the 21 or 22 is when they started that for CCS enabled from the factory. So yeah, the early ones, but it's $380 to go into the service center. They put the module and the wiring harness under the rear seat. It's a real simple deal. I wanted to do it myself and video it, but those modules go on eBay for like $350. And for $380, it included the Tesla to CCS adapter. So it was a no-brainer. Just let them do it. So while we were there, we had them certify the car to re-supercharge, and they go through some high voltage inspections. They drop the battery pack. They check a bunch of things out, and then they certify the car. And if there's any problems, they will suggest that you fix it at the time, so that they can get really expensive if the car doesn't certify. And I was going to kind of go over that a little bit. My experience, I checked everything on this car that I knew they were going to check, like the resistances and the ohms and stuff, through that battery pack and through the large drive unit before I took it down. Being a shop, I had an idea what they were going to do. There is a high voltage interlock loop that goes through the entire system of an EV. And if any of those systems are out of resistance or out of problem, you won't be able to start your car. We haven't started seeing that on the Mach-E's, really, on the Lightnings too much yet, because they're not aged out. But this was a 15. So, you kind of expect that. I had done all those checks before I went down. And when they pulled the battery on the car, there was a seal missing on the battery where the battery interfaces with the car. On a Tesla, you don't connect any connections. It auto connects, so that, those cars were designed to pull into a station, a robot takes the bolts out, drops the battery, sticks you another battery in, and in 2 minutes, you're down the road. So that was how the early Model S's were designed to be changed. Well, the seal was missing. And I'm pretty sure that was a miss from the factory, because that battery had never been out. It was the original battery to the car. It had 31,000 miles on this car when we left. So, or 30, almost 32. So anyway, they got me for like an extra $350 to install a $23 seal kit. And I was like, nope, I'll do it at the shop. And he said, well, if you do that, you're going to fail your inspection. You're going to have to pay for another inspection. So it's a racket. It's like one of those catch-22s. Do you do it? Do you not? So we went ahead and did it. Got the car free supercharged, certified. So when I say that, there's some information floating out there that free supercharging can or can't be stripped away. On different coded cars, free supercharging is for the original owner. And there's some like SC05 codes, I believe. but the SC01 free supercharging stays with the car for life, and it does not matter if it's been a rebuilt title or not. What they can do is turn off the ability to charge at all, regardless if it's free. So just that's a neat piece. So these Model S Teslas at auction are bringing pretty cheap money right now. So I'm going to continue to build some of those because I got to be honest, it's hard to buy Lightnings. They're expensive. They're proven, and I'm starting to see the market uptick back up on used salvage ones more than they were, 6 months ago.
I'm curious. I want to talk about the Lightning too, but just real quick, can you go through what you did? Was this, because I know you've done a couple of these, and was this one with the coolant delete and the battery swap? And
yeah. So I was going to get to all that. So anyway, we got that car back, and everything was ready to go for that trip. So this trip, 4,654 miles, 1,523. That's a little over 3 miles per kilowatt hour average. And we did a lot of 80 to 85 mile an hour. It shows 327 watt hour per mile. And it equates out to about 3.0. I had a ton of 4.0 on that trip.
That's just
those
crazy.
65 mile an hour. That car it's a rear wheel drive. So on the rear wheel drive units, or the sport or performance versions, they have a large drive unit instead of the small. On those, there's a coolant seal that runs through the middle of the rotor on the motors that will fail. It happens to every single Tesla with a large drive unit in existence. It's just a matter of when. So there's a delete that actually keeps the coolant from flowing through the center of the rotor and just flows it around the outside. And there's a whole world of, well, should you let it flow around the outside? Some guys are deleting what they call the flyover tube as well, which is a bad idea. It's too much heat. So we did the coolant delete. We did doing an inspection from Tesla, checked every single nut and bolt on the bottom side of that car to make sure it was good. And that's just something we do when we get one on the lift. And then took off, and 4,600 miles later, it didn't blip on that trip. I will tell you that there's another thing that you can do with the older Teslas. And that was the upgrade of the screen. So the instrument cluster and the center screen on those, they call it a master control unit. It's called an MCU. Version 1 is what those cars shipped with, and they were okay. There's a couple of options in version 1 that you can get. The early ones had a 3G Wi-Fi connectivity built into the car, meaning the car can have connectivity. And if you're not careful, you'll get one in with 3G and it doesn't connect anymore. So you have to have the card that able to do the 4G or 5G, or actually 4G stuff. I had to swap one of those out of one of my other cars because no connectivity. But that is unlimited for life as well. So that car can download software updates. We got 2 updates during our trip, and they come in, you install them, you move on. I'm not bashing Ford, but come on, guys. Tesla makes this look easy. So,
and the thing with
anyway,
you mentioned the 3G. The 3G problem is that network doesn't exist anymore. They've decommissioned the 3G, right? So
that's right.
If you've got that is a good call out. If you're looking at one of these older ones, if it has a 3G, you're gonna have to. What do you take it back to Tesla and they can swap it with a newer one?
You can, for the average guy, you would take it to Tesla and they can swap it out. You can buy those cards on eBay and pull them if you want. If you're handy and you want to pull by nuts and bolts loose, that master control unit is like a computer screen, it's like your desktop screen turned vertical. You just pop it out. And on the back, you pop the screws out the side, and there's a little chip in there. You take it out, put it back. I mean, it's nothing soldered or crazy. If you could take a computer apart, you could do this.
Was MCU1 the one that had the issue with the delamination and the glue?
Yeah, the leaky screen.
That was one.
Yeah, that's the fluid between the touchscreen and the actual.
Did they fix that with
video.
2?
Yeah, 2. I have not seen doing that at all. But like my performance. Right. The performance Model S we have here right now is doing it. It doesn't affect the screen. You can still use it, see it. It's just ugly. It's got this big arch curve liquid stuff and it'll literally drip out the bottom of the screen onto the console.
That is so
it's
crazy.
A mess.
That's so crazy. So if you wanted to swap that out, you can, when you get the MC2, it comes with the whole screen and everything.
Yeah, you get a whole new computer. Tesla has to do it. I can't do those. It's stuff in the background. but it also replaces the instrument cluster in front of you and the one on the side. And the last I heard, they're doing them for like $1,500.
Wow,
So it's
that's
really
costly.
pretty affordable for what you're getting,
Yeah, that's just another great
Just an
value for
old
you on
car,
this
yeah.
Model S that you got, right? Because
Yeah.
that was already done.
That
Then
was
you
already
did the
done.
coolant delete. You added the CCS.
Yep.
And then was the battery swapped out as well?
The
Did you do that?
battery, yeah, that's the other interesting part. The whole point of us taking it to Tesla with the original battery was it's an 85 kilowatt battery that had been supercharged for 15 minutes one time. That car had been home charged its entire life. So that battery is in awesome shape. But I had a 90 kilowatt battery out of a car that had been put in another Model S in 2022. When you go to the 90 kilowatt, it was my impression early on that it's going to charge faster and it's going to have 5 more kilowatts of energy. Now, I had kind of been told that they software limited those packs to 85, which is fine. But I still should have the really fast supercharging. That's not the case. When you put a 90 kilowatt pack in a Model S, the supercharging rate does not change. It stays the same. So we were seeing speeds of, I think, 115, 120 every single stop, and it held it way longer than I'm used to. At 90 to 95 kilowatts, I'm still seeing 65 to 70 or 90, 95%. I'm still seeing speeds of like 65, 70 kilowatts. So a bunch of times on this trip, we charged the car to 100%. And one time, this is the only time I did it this low, 5% to 100% was 51 minutes. So unbelievable speed. And most of that is coming from the fact that it's a 90 kilowatt pack that's limited to 85. So you have a 5% buffer built in outside of what Tesla builds into the 90 kilowatt pack anyway. So, like the Lightning is 143. We have access to 131. There's a buffer. That 90 kilowatt pack has a buffer as well. And then there was the 5 buffer on top of that. Now, those could overlap. So I'm not 100% sure. But what I do know is this thing charged to 100%. I would never take the Lightning to 100% on a road trip unless it was absolutely necessary, right? It's just not something you want to do. 80 is kind of the limit. I've bumped 85 a few times. Just it slows to 60, and 60 is not horrible, but when you're running at 65 kilowatts on a 75, 80 kilowatt battery, man, it still feels like it's cooking. So it got to be a joke on this trip. I think we charged a total, supercharged a total of 33 times. That seems like a lot, but I got to tell you, it was like 3.5 hours. And every time we went in somewhere, the app on Tesla gives you 2 numbers when you're charging. You need this much many minutes to continue the trip. And then another number that's how much to the charge limit, which I set to 100 on that car. So it'd tell you like 20 minutes to continue your trip, 35 minutes to charge limit about every time. And it got to be a joke between me and my wife. I'd look up at her and I'd say, "Hey, car's ready to go." She would laugh. And then a little later, I'd look up at her and she'd look at me, "The car's ready to go, isn't it?" Because we'd be in the middle of dinner or getting gas or using the restroom or getting food. The car beat us over 80% of the time. It was ready to go. So I was impressed with that. I think had we been in the Mach-E, we would have experienced the same thing because the battery's small, unlike the Lightning, and it's a good efficiency car. It would have been the same kind of thing because the Mach-E's got a pretty good charge curve. It's not as good as the Lightning, but it's pretty good. It would have been every bit as good as that Model S. So I was under the impression that you don't road trip an older Model S. Now, I would say it's probably the best road tripping car out there because they're cheap and because it's free.
Yeah, and I was under the impression you were after they did that I-90 surge on out of spec, and they kind of drove all those vehicles across, and they had that. Now that one that they drove was much older and didn't charge nearly as well as yours. And
mine wasn't like it was charging good, Chris. That's the thing. It was 120, and then it would drop down to 80, and it dropped down to 70. When I first charged the first time, I was like, this is going to make such a long trip because this thing's charging so slow compared to what I'm used to in the Lightning, seeing 180 for 10 minutes and then slowly tapering down to 130. I thought we're going to be here all day. And it was like, the math wasn't mathing to me why the car was ready as fast as it was. The only thing I can figure is that you're only charging 80 kilowatts, which is not half of what the Lightning is, but it's a lot smaller battery.
Right.
The killer thing about it is the efficiency. The Mach-E
Yeah.
gets 2.6 to 2.7 on our GT. That car was getting 3.5 to 3.8 on the highway at 70 to 75 miles an hour. So it kills the way that car is built. It kills it. And it's a large drive unit, rear wheel drive car compared to the Mach-E, which is a performance front wheel drive and rear wheel drive. So that, you're not really comparing apples to apples there, but
right. Different vehicles in a lot of ways.
Yeah, different vehicles, but
one's an SUV, one's a sedan, one's got a much better, what's drag coefficient than the other.
Yeah, it does. It does. And honestly,
wheels are different.
For driving it around town, I prefer the Mach-E hands down. I'm not trying to say the Model S is the best car, because it's comfortable, it's really nice, but the Mach-E is way faster, way more sporty. Off the line, the Teslas have a pretty slow start, and then they really come on power hard after you get moving. The Mach-E is very quick. So it changed my mind about those cars, because you can pick one up. Like, I'm selling these Model S's with 100,000 miles on them for 10 grand, done with certified and the whole 9 yards. This next one will be 10 grand. It's got 157,000 miles on it, but it's going to have the battery out of this 2015. So the battery's only got 30,000 miles on it. I'm going to do the coolant. Actually, I already have done the coolant delete, and it's a performance. It's an 85 performance. So because they're cheap, that's the coolest thing about it. You're not spending 60 to 80 grand. I pulled into several superchargers where there was Silverado EVs and Lightnings there, and I'm just drooling. I'm like, man, I want my truck back. But I only had, I think in my cost was like $9,000 in that car, and I sold it for $15,500 the Sunday I got back.
Yeah, what a great thing, man!
Right.
And they got a great car for 15, man. That
he
car
did.
we had.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Had all the
friend of mine who's a dentist, and he messaged me a couple days later, and he just, man, I appreciate. He sounded like you were sales pitching me. He said, but I appreciate you selling me this car. It's really a unicorn. Having all of those things that you don't normally get. Like, nothing was missing either. Like the back deck lid that has that little shade cover. On those, they're kind of hard. We stack stuff up there, like clothes and hats and pillows, and the back end of the Model S is huge. I mean, it's a huge car, bigger than the Mach-E, but not miles bigger.
Longer.
Nothing like the Lightning. The Lightning with the bed and the frunk. The frunk is awesome. I can't wait to get back in my truck. So that's for those that are listening that hadn't heard. I did buy another one, 23 extended range rapid red max tow truck that I'm going to Dallas to get tomorrow. So I'm ready to be back in the truck. But if you're curious about the older Model S, you just need to make sure that you get the coolant delete done on the rear end if it's the large drive unit, which means either rear wheel drive or any performance edition. If it's an all wheel drive car and not performance, you're good. You don't need any coolant deletes. That small drive unit they put in the standard all wheel drives, the non-performance all wheel drives, does not leak. It doesn't have any problems. So I wouldn't hesitate at all. And in fact, road tripping one, if we have another big road trip like that to California next year, I'm going to look for a Model S before I drive, just because it's free. Saved us what I can figure. If you figure 1,523 kilowatts of energy at, I don't know, Chris, what do you reckon it was in California for energy costs? You're on mute, buddy.
It ranges anywhere from 45 cents up to 60 cents a kilowatt hour. And
Jason, are you seeing it cheaper up in your area?
It depends on where you go, but yeah, Tesla's 40-ish,
We're about
45.
37 here with the membership.
Yeah, EA could go up to, I think the most expensive one is like 64, something crazy.
Yeah, I saw some 70s when I was coming across.
The Pilot Flying J's are really expensive too. Those are probably
they are, and I try to avoid those just because of the cost. I like their stations; they charge really well. They're nice covered. So if we take 1,523 kilowatts times 45 cents,
it's a fair number.
The car would have spent $685 just that car. So that's that gives you an idea. But if you're doing that in a Lightning, because we were considering the Lightning versus that, 4,654 miles divided by maybe 2 miles per kilowatt hour. That's 2,327. Two's right. Two's a stretch. You can start to get
I
it.
think you're being wildly optimistic
But if
because
I be
I had
really
stretches.
conservative,
It is middle of summer, but yeah, I mean,
if I'm really
1.9.
conservative or really, really aggressive with it, 2,300, let's just call it 2,500 kilowatts of energy times 45 cents, $1,100, just rounding numbers off. So that car, by deciding to take it over the Lightning, saved me about $1,100.
Hard to be mad about that, man.
And I'm taking the Lightning. The next trip I go on, that's not a huge 2-week road trip because it's so comfortable. So even with that said, you got to weigh out what's comfort worth versus but I wouldn't hesitate to do it. It was very pleasant as far as that. And then I got to be honest, we got to stop at places I hadn't stopped before because you have access to 100% of the network. I didn't worry.
I was going to say that's a big difference to have not just V3s and up. You have everything.
Yep.
Every supercharger out there in the world I can stop at. CCS and all of that.
That'd be game changing for us for like Northern Michigan. There's some places where we don't, over here have much more than Sandusky is another example. There's only a one V2 there. And if that was a V3, that could change everything for people coming home from Cedar Point. It's crazy.
Yeah. But that's the thing with the GOM on that car. It was dead on, like within 1%, every single one of those 33% charges. It knew over the mountains. It knew. I couldn't believe it. I think they've just been doing it so long. They've got so much data on those cars. They just knew. And Ford will get there. I know Ford will get there. But right now,
I also think they're so efficient, right? That even when you're doing 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour, even if you've got heavy winds or whatever it is that's going on,
didn't affect it.
It doesn't affect it nearly so much. Whereas there were points when I was coming across, and I think I messaged you at one point, and I'm like, dude, is this wind normal? And
you're getting like 1.2, 1.3.
1.2. I did. I got some 1.2s. And so much of my miles is still that initial 3,000 mile road trip that I'm still at 1.8. Like I don't know if I don't know how long it's going to take for it to get above 2. My normal, my old standard range with the 20-inch wheels.
I can tell you how to fix that.
I was getting 2.4 for my first
Just
3 years of ownership,
and it'll fix it.
Yeah, I wanted to hold on. I like to hold on to it for that trip.
I know you do.
You know what I mean? So it's
Jace, are you that way? Do you like to hold on to your?
I used to be like that. I used to when I had like my first Mach-E, and I was all about holding on to it. Now I just reset it.
Yeah, my trip 2 I reset. So my trip 2 is at 2.2, which is still 0.2 below my standard range. So I assume that's because of weight and wheels. That is different.
Yep.
Because 3 years of ownership,
so better.
What you think it looks?
I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, you do. I'm going to end up giving you these wheels at some point. It's just a matter of time because I hate is too strong a word, but it does. I look at it and it's like, it just doesn't. It's too shiny. It's too big. They're too much. So I'll be excited the day I can swap those out. What's that?
You could add the stickers on them and see if you like that.
I'm just philosophically opposed to the sticker thing. I did add the
stickers to mine. I haven't put them on yet and tried it yet, but I got to do it.
But if you're going to keep the rims, but
but if you do it and you don't like it, you pull them back off.
Peel them off.
It's not like you're hurting anything.
Yeah, I probably
would throw my lariat wheels back on if I hate them.
Yeah, and
I do like the lariat wheels. The lariat wheels are something, and this is a good segue, Chris, because we were going to talk about this tonight. Getting into wheels. So, Jace, since you guys both went to from lariats to platinums, what did you see? You think on an average for efficiency drop? Couple of points.
Well, it was a little different too because we had one extended range too, and then we had one standard range. And I've always had all terrains, so you have to kind of consider that a little bit. I'm not going from like a high highway tire to stock OEM. I pretty much took them off right away. So honestly, my my efficiency has almost been pretty spot on with what I had with my standard range. It's dang
Interesting.
close.
Wow.
So that means your tires were hurting you more than you thought, or more than we kind of realized on your standard range.
Yeah, probably 5-ish%, but it's tough to say always too though, because we have that winter, and every year is kind of a little bit different. So it's like, was it really cold? Like Chris, you're kind of the same all year around, like,
Yeah.
and now I've jumped to a heat pump, so that will play into it too, but I haven't really got, we got the car in end of March, so don't have any real data on that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It really is. But I've noticed when we tow the boat that we're actually doing a little bit better than our old. And we never towed the boat with my standard range just because we didn't need to. We had the extended range max tow, so we always just took that. We seem to be getting a little bit better average miles when we tow the boat, which I don't know why, but
What was your miles per kilowatt hour in your extended range before, and what is it in your platinum? Do you
we
recall?
averaged like 1.8/1.9 on both trucks, standard range and extended
Okay.
range, across if you average winter and summer together.
And you're sitting at about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, because I think what possibly what it is that you haven't hit to your point, you haven't hit winter yet. So
Yeah. We don't
fast
have a full
forward to
season to kind of gauge. So, and I would hope that it would be a little bit better in the winter with the heat
heat pump.
pump.
Yeah.
And we take a lot of road trips during the winter too up north. So, we'll kind of see. It'll be interesting to once we go through like a whole year and kind of see what happens. But we're windy here right off the lake. It's crazy.
Logan 2.2 on the highway, man. That's good. What's your speed on the highway? Because I don't like I'm getting like 1.9 on the highway.
That's what I got
And
too.
yeah. And
Kansas
2.
winds though, we're 20-mile-an-hour winds as a normal day, and I'm usually
I think
pushing them.
Logan's in Florida too, so I'm sure that
that'll help a little bit.
Helps.
I know Pat's very similar experience on his truck before, 2.2 to 2.3.
Yeah, the 3.1 sounds right. That's look at these. Yeah, 75 to 80 getting 2.2. That's remarkable. I've never seen that.
That's what Pat said on his truck as well down there in Florida with the temperatures and stuff. I think that's you kind of
I've seen
that
crazy numbers from people in Florida. I don't know why. It's always Florida and Texas.
Logan,
sometimes
you got.
too,
Do you have the original OEM wheels and their street tires, or are they all? I'm assuming they're not all terrain at that point, but yeah, that's remarkable, man. That's really cool to be able to get to go 75 alone at 2.2 would be remarkable. If I wanted
that's not what you're going to see in the entire US. There are places you can certainly do that. I've seen 2.8 at 70 before, but so have you, Chris, at with a tailwind.
Yeah. I was so excited when I had it. I was on the way to Vegas and the wind was just in my favor. And I was like, I've never seen this. I've got to record this. This is remarkable. Like I thought I was gonna have to make a stop somewhere. And I just, not only did I not have to make a stop, like I arrived was like high 20% state of charge. And I was so excited. I was like such a nerd on that, man. Like it was like a little kid, like, you got to see this. Nobody else would care. Nobody else would find that.
That's
awesome.
So Chris, you're looking at since we're talking about wheels, you're looking about changing wheels. So you're thinking maybe some lariat wheels. You're thinking maybe go back to some 18s. You found a set of Raptor 17-inch wheels, which are very cool.
They are.
They don't really fit very well.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is whenever the two of you, I've heard you guys talk about wheels before. I've seen people post about wheels before. They start talking about spacers and they start going all these. I always think of like one of my favorite movies is My Cousin Vinny, and they're talking about the Michelin 32R14s, and it's it only fits on these two cars, and it's got positive traction, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but it sounds really cool, and that's what.
Actually, Chris, wheel spacers. What happens is you got to be able to clear the caliper, the brake caliper. Wheel spacers bolt on where your wheel bolts, and then clocked about 15 or 20 degrees, there's a new pair of studs. So the downside to wheel spacers, in my opinion, is it puts more leverage and pressure on your hubs.
Yeah,
I don't like
it's a heavy truck.
Yeah, and it's a heavy truck. So imagine a cantilever. So if you're cantilevering from, say, here, it's easy to push, but you got here, it's a cantilever. You're moving that wheel out. So any of these trucks that you see that are Carolina squatting, or they got the gray big wide wheels, that's extremely hard on wheel bearings. So, if you're going to trade it every couple of years, you don't care about the next guy, more power to you. Go for it. But
and does that also mean it's going to push your tire out beyond your fender at that point because you've got the spacer?
Yeah, it's all about offset on that wheel.
I think you need a 12 millimeter offset / spacer to fit that wheel.
Yep.
It would depend exactly on the offset of the wheel.
That's a half an inch.
But you need 12 millimeters, I believe, with like the standard Raptor. I don't know if there's different Raptor wheels that have different offsets.
Yeah, and a half an inch is not a lot to worry about on a spacer. When you start talking like 2-inch spacers, which a lot of guys are doing, that's a lot. Half an inch wouldn't really kill you, but it's something you got to consider. So I'm like Jace. I would avoid that if you can. The 17-inch wheel is going to be typically lighter, but it depends on what tire you pick. The tire can offset the wheel depending on what tire you pick.
You'll have probably big sidewalls no matter what you pick, unless you're going really tiny.
Mitchell Murphy
I wouldn't do that.
Mitchell Murphy on Facebook. He said it was 12-inch.
Him with us, right?
Yeah. And a bunch of people chimed in and said, "Hey, there's a bunch of us using spacers. It's not a big deal." But just because you're doing it doesn't mean it's not wearing out your bearings.
It's not. We've had
a little
trucks with spacers and crazy offset wheels and even lifts. And I mean, the older I get, the less I want to mess with that. Is kind of like how I view it. I don't know why. Like I thought our first 2018 F-150, it rode rough. It had a 6-inch lift. Crazy spacers, crazy wheels. It was nuts, but it rode like crap. And, like Martin said, down the road, you're putting a lot of stress on the suspension, various different parts, the crazier you go.
So like this is the truck I'm taking tomorrow. These wheels stick outside this truck like 1/3 to almost a half.
Yeah. But if it's a gas truck, this is fine.
This is diesel. But it is still, I mean, they're going to be loud. It sticks out. The efficiencies you're losing. There's no upside to this at all, except for I'm young and I want to look cool. And I'm picking on the young guys because I'm over this.
That does look cool though, man. I'm looking at your wheels right now. That looks cool.
Yeah, it does. And that's why the kid did it, and I'm thankful to be able to borrow his truck. It's gonna howl all the way to Dallas and back tomorrow.
So as I've been driving around, it's funny because how it's one of those things that when you start looking at something, suddenly you start seeing a bunch of them. Maybe you didn't notice it before. So now I'm noticing all these Raptors with these rims, and one of the things I've noticed is that they're all using some type of off-road or all-terrain tire. They're all very wide.
That's about the look.
They look so mean and squat. Can you put normal street tires?
You're going to kill your range doing that, though. I mean, you're going
to. No, I wouldn't want to do that. That's kind of where I'm going.
At least 10, if not 15% of your range, because the tire that's going to make it look good, like the one I just showed you on that Raptor wheel, you need a bigger balloon tire if you put a set of street tires on the Raptor wheel, I don't think you're gaining much.
That's what I was gonna ask. Does it look ridiculous if you throw street tires? Like good efficient street tires, is it going to look completely ridiculous on those rims?
I'll send you a photo. So. One time I got a Toyo tire put on a fuel wheel that I love. They were Fuel 20s inch. Fuel Rebel is the wheel exactly. They were awesome, but I told the shop I really want an aggressive Goodyear, and they were like, "Well, we're running this deal on these Toyos right now, and you should try these." And we love Toyo. We have a special relationship with them. I'm like, all right, they looked all right off the wheel, but then they put them on. The sidewall was way too small. It had no aggressiveness to it, and it looked like crap. I'll send you the picture. And then when I put I think I went with the Ultra Terrains for the very first time after those, and they looked so much better. So it can definitely, especially because you can get too big of this is of course all my opinion, but I've gone through both ways many times, so trust me. The wheel well looks too big, and so you can get it looks a little funky,
especially with the rear of the Lightning. It's got a lot of gap.
Yeah, and I'd want thick sidewalls. My first priority is comfort. I do feel like it's a rougher ride, and I really notice it in the Bay Area roads. And then my second priority is getting my range back. So I'm kind of looking for that. And then my third priority is I want it to look cool.
Yeah, the best you're going to do is an 18-inch wheel with a full-size tire, the same size as the 265 or 275 60 20 that's on the truck now. So look for overall height. Then there's a couple calculators out there. You want to keep the height the same so your speedometer doesn't change. More sidewall is going to give you better ride, but you don't want a heavy tire. You don't want a big, KO2, any of those. They're too heavy for range. But again, if you buy a 17-inch Raptor wheel, you kind of need a mud tire or an big all-terrain tire to make it look good.
To make it look great.
Yeah, and so that's...
So the 17 isn't going to gain you anything extra over the 18.
I wouldn't do it. Not with the Spacer
especially with the Raptor wheel going to be as heavy as the 18. If you look at the 18, like on an XLT or any of the 18s, the way you drive your truck, Chris, any of the 18 F-150 wheels are going to be fine for weight capacity.
And so pretty much if I find any wheel that goes onto a same model year range, I don't know what is it 2017 to 25?
15 to 25.
Okay. So if it fits on any F-150,
no.
So remember,
not any, but most.
And then you'd have to change the TPMS. If they're 23 and older, you would have to change the TPMS.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's 24 or 25, it's the same.
You're good. But if it's not correct, you would have to switch those over. Now, this is my advice, Chris. This is what I would do. I see them all the time, and I've done it, I think, twice now. I would buy, if you're cool with 20-inch, I would buy the Lariat wheels again. I see deals on them all the time, particularly in California. Like, I bought mine for $500 from a guy.
I see those all day long.
Yeah,
I see $500.
I think he even had tires on them. Like, his tires, TPMS, the center caps. He had everything on him. He's like, $500, they're yours. I actually traded the truck in. Like, I don't need them anymore. They're yours. And I was like, oh man, he used to be from where I'm from too. It was like the craziest situation. So that's what I would do if you could find them, just because they're so cheap. They're going to be the Fuel Rebels that we bought for my truck in 2019 back then were $400 a wheel. And now you're talking probably even more than that, $500 a wheel.
Yeah.
And so
it's not worth it.
I mean, you can get cheaper, but yeah, I mean, and then if you take them to discount and they screw them up, like that's happened to me too. They had to replace all four. Like, it just gets intense. And that's my advice, is try to find, or a stock, if you could find a stock XLT wheel, or, a Lariat wheels. That's what I would try to do. There's just such good deals on them. People just get rid of them for nothing.
I have these wheels right now, and they're probably not going to hurt my range at all. And Chris, I shared these with you. This is a 2016 or 17 Sport F-150 wheel, like powder coated dark gray or black. And this is against the same truck. He swapped the Lariat wheels for that, and really, I asked him and didn't really notice much difference on range. I know the Lariat wheel was designed to be more of an aero wheel to help turbulence. But he didn't really notice much, and that is this is kind of what I'm wanting to do to mine. I know I haven't pulled the trigger yet that I'm going to do it, but this wheel looks as close to the 2001 Lightning wheel as you can get, and still have a 6-lug. And that's kind of the reason I'm wanting to do it, to go throw back to what I had. I'm trying to decide: do I want them black? Do I want them dark gray? On a red truck, I even thought about having them chrome plated to go really old school, but again, Chris, you're going to have to make up your own mind as to what you want the look to be, because as long as you're not sacrificing, you've got a lot of options here.
Yeah. Kyle Thompson, here's a pic of a Raptor wheel with a street tire. Where did you post this, Kyle? It doesn't show up in the chat.
You can't post it on our thing. Maybe send it to one of us on Facebook and we'll throw it up there or something.
That'd be, I'd love to see it. I definitely would love to see it. So tag us, because I definitely want to check that out, a Raptor with street tires. But I dig the look. And I think the other thing I didn't understand about them, and to your point, I should have left that. I left that out of my list of things, right? I'm also cheap as hell. As evidenced by, flying across the country to get a better deal on the truck that I got. I will go through remarkable steps if I can get a deal. So yeah, I'm pretty much just looking on Marketplace. Like, I would never buy brand new wheels.
That's why I feel like if you could find a Lariat
wheel,
20-inch, and then you just need to really narrow down your tire, because the 20-inch I feel like is a perfect sort of in between them all, and you could change your ride to what you want / and efficiency with what tire you choose from there. And with the 18 and 20, really, there's choices galore as far as what you want. The 22 and once you start hitting like the GMCs, the 24-inch wheels,
Very
there's
limited.
not a lot of very limited. Like I think even for Goodyear for the 22-inch platinum wheels, there's like in that specific size, there's only 2 or 3 options total. Which I was blown away by. One of them is the Steadfast HT, and you should look at that tire, Chris. That is, in my opinion, the perfect tire for you. It's
I
not
looked at
cheap.
it too. If it was going to be between that and the Aturo that I always run that I love,
Yeah, you
I
said
get
that
the Steadfast and my discount for a little under 190, and the Aturos are like 130. So
Yeah.
they're the same as far as quiet. I've been in both of them now, and they're the same as far as quiet and efficiency. They're probably going to last a little bit longer on the Goodyears, but the Turos have a 60,000 mile warranty. So that's what got me, Chris. I rode in a couple other vehicles since you and I were talking about swapping wheels, your platinum wheels for my Lariat wheels.
Yeah.
I don't want that rough ride either. And I don't want to lose the efficiency. I'm just like you. So I'm going to stick with the Lariat or F-150 wheels.
So what I kind of need to be looking for then is a 24 or 25 Lariat wheel or sport wheel off another F-150. And then I like the idea of powder coating. Like ever since I saw you powder coat, I'm like, that would also, I got a guy that can powder coat.
But I will say, if you need to like do the TPMS, that's easy.
That's easy.
Any tire shop can quickly do it. It might cost you a little bit of money if you don't want to do any of the work. But
would they have? Would they have it, or would I need
they'll
to
have them.
buy it?
They'll have them. You can get them on Amazon though.
You could do it either way, really. But I think they're cheaper to go. Like mine on Amazon were like $99, and then they said they would do it for like, I don't know. It was cheaper than that total size, like you guys just
$99 is a set of 4.
You're gonna be there anyway if you don't buy wheels with tires. So if you need to buy a set of tires new, they're going to be there anyway. So I wouldn't worry about
That's exactly the situation that I was in when I texted Martin. I'm like, okay, there's a problem. Like the TPMS ain't working. Like something's wrong. But I had, I did have tires on them, but I was getting them swapped anyway. So that's exactly what happened with me. And they just took care of it there, and it was easy peasy. But you'd have to be aware of it for sure.
And then tell me about the other thing the Raptors have. And Will is my other holdout. Will F the Pump has a set of wheels that I have been in love with the moment I saw him. And I'm pretty sure
those ones that he has always had with the blue around them.
The blue.
Okay, yeah. Those are like a fuel off with the fake bead lock and stuff. Yeah.
And I think his are actually.
I have those on my Can-Am.
I just, man, I'm in love with those things, and so I'm waiting. He's trying to figure out if he's going to swap those out. So I told him I'd wait until next month and harass him again. I've pinged him a couple different times, and but I think those were one-off wheels that were made for him by somebody down in Southern California.
But you can find them. Like these are a pair of System 3 wheels that I have on my Can-Am. I don't know how well it's going to show up here to show that, but that blue is kind of what you're talking about, but these are a little different. These are outlined around the spoke, and they have
looks good.
The fake bead. Yeah, that's I did that on purpose because it fits that color of the buggy kind of. The sunlight makes it look a little more purple, but yeah, so that's exactly what Chris. You can find those if you just look for blue outline black wheels. You'll find them. They're out there. If that's something you want to do.
I feel like I can pick up the Lariat wheels at any time on Marketplace. Like I'll be able to find them and I can powder coat them black. That's an easy one, and it would make me happy. But to get ones that had a blue outline I'd stare at that thing every time.
You can get the Lariat wheels and put the blue outline on them. They sell them on Amazon. You just do it's a little rim.
It's just a clip on. Or you can have a shop like Pinstripe it. There's a lot of pinstriping places. They could just take them the color that matches the
blue is easy. Don't worry about the blue. We can help you there. That's the easy part. You decide what wheels you want. Get the wheels, and then you can accessorize.
So I think that was. But those wheels that I posted that were Raptor ones were on Marketplace for. There was one set for 500 and one set for 600, and I'm like, that's just a great deal. If they would have been easy enough, I would have been like, I might just pick these up, but. Wes, you did, man. You caught us live. Great to have you. Like, thanks for commenting and chiming in. Yeah, it's we try to be here each Thursday between 7:30 and 9:30 Eastern. Is that Central? That's I
don't we try. Eastern, 7:30 Central.
Yeah.
8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central.
Shout out Wes, man. Great to see you.
Yeah, for those listening, I apologize. The last couple of weeks, the second week I had no service up in the mountains in the redwoods, and then the next week was my wife's birthday, so there was no way I was missing that.
Yeah, no, that's why that's part of the charm of having three of us is that at any given time, one of us can be, Jace has got his birthday, and I'll be out the next couple of weeks just with the timing. So the show goes on, right? There's always a second person, so that's how a lot of them go.
Hopefully, in the next little while, we actually get into some more interesting stuff. I wanted to share something that I kind of made up. It's the first little bit of information that we're expecting when we get. First of all, I got to get my truck back and get it here. So follow me on Facebook. I'm going to make a post about it tomorrow. We got the whole trip down. A little quick video on it when I get there. Our new build is starting this weekend, and I've already ordered all the parts for it. First time I've done that.
This is your red one?
Yeah, the red Lightning, the red 23. It's hitting the right front.
So go back and talk about, you had started to talk about when we were talking about the Tesla and we were talking about Copart, and you were saying how you noticed that the Lightning had just been so much more expensive. And I'm curious if it'll even go. I really want to hear from you as we get later in the year when the EV incentive goes away. I'm curious if they start to hold their value even more and become more valuable, because there'll be a bigger gap now between a used and a brand new one. Whereas right now it's so hard to buy a used one people all the time get frustrated. They put their Lightnings for sale for $60-something thousand for a Lariat, and you're like, bro, I can go up the street and get one for 67. Yeah. So like, why would you do that? Brand new, full warranty.
Well, you buy a new Power Boost for 78,000, it's not going to bring over 50 or 60 when you sell it. It's not, the Lightning's not doing quite as good as the Power Boost, but it's close. I mean, they're anything new. Hey, Paul, welcome, Paul. There's
Tesla. I love that name, man. Forklifts by day, Teslas by night, man.
Oh yeah,
that is just awesome.
And it looks like that when you pull into the shop.
Does he repair forklifts, or is he selling forklifts?
No, he's a forklift expert.
That's awesome.
Paul's a lot like me. He did a lot of mechanic stuff before we switched over to EVs. So
yeah,
I want to know though. Paul's listening. I want to know when you're going to EV swap one of these forklifts. Let's get rid of the propane, put a battery in it, and it's already been done. But I want to see you do it with a Tesla battery.
Tesla battery pack underneath that thing.
Yeah.
So
he did a golf cart. He's got a golf cart that he Tesla
with a Tesla battery.
Yep, Tesla. I think it was 1 or 2 Tesla batteries in his golf cart. So
Jesus. Yeah,
that was cool.
So talk to us about Copart, man. Like, what made you? I assume you got a great deal on this one.
I got a decent deal. We paid like 19 grand. It's like 21 out the door. It's decent, I'll have 28,000 in it done. And again, it should bring 35, just like the last 2 I sold did, which is a hell of a buy for what you're getting. I mean, at 35, if you look, Lariats right now are tough to find with any miles under about 43,000. That's kind of the minimum. I know with Brandon, he got a hell of a buy on his.
Right.
Brandon Flash. It's tough to find one ever under 40. They're out there, but it's somebody's trying to bail. Somebody doesn't know what they have. Some dealer that just got this thing on trade, or, I see a lot of them for 45 to 48,000 right now. I think Josh has brought in that range, and that had 40,000 miles. That's about right. The market is showing in that 45, and they're holding pretty well. I watched today. I wanted a red one this time. You guys all know everything around me is blue. I love blue, but I am a Rapid Red fan to the point where I really want to paint it that ultra red. I saw so many. Well, Chris, you and I were there at the factory, at the Tesla factory.
That Tesla ultra red is sick.
Absolutely gorgeous. It's like a deep cherry red.
Dude, you should do that. That would be a one-off red.
I'm going to paint something that color. I don't know when, but that's happening. But the Rapid Red's close. I mean, it's a beautiful red. So there was 2 of them. This one hit in the right front in Florida. It came up first. I got it bought. One sold today in Texas. It was actually a clean title, but it was hail damaged a lot. I had to fix every panel on it. It was at $27,500 before the auction even started. So you're going to put $5,000 or $6,000 worth of labor into that truck fixing all the panels. So, to me, that didn't make any sense. So I wouldn't have bought it for that. They need to be under 20 grand right now to make sense. I paid well under 20 for the XLT, right around that for this Lariat. My Lariat's got 30,000 miles on it, so it's a little bit more miles. We'll drive it probably a year when it's got 50 on it and sell it for in the 35 range. I think a year from now, nothing's going to change. If anything, the EV tax credit going away and the used tax credit, I think, is going away as well.
It is, yeah.
You're gonna see used prices ticking up, and the tax credit deal is kind of weird, and I don't want to harp on this because that's not what the show's about. But not all cars qualify. If they've been used on it once, they're done. So my daughter's Model 3, it won't be a tax credit car because we took the tax credit on it when we bought it. Lightnings aren't quite to the point where they're going to qualify, but Mach-E's are starting to get there for used. But that's all going to change here shortly. So
do you think are you going to try to grab a couple right before it ends if you think the value is going to go up?
That way. You don't get tax credits on cars you buy off Copart, so I don't buy them that way. If anybody's listening and you're trying to sell your car, Mach-E, Tesla, and it has never had the tax credit, if it's under 25 grand, you don't have to be a dealer. You can go through a website called Key Savvy, and that will allow you to sell your car through them, and the person can get the tax credit. So if you have, let's say, a $25,000 retail Mach-E you want to sell, the other person's effectively going to buy it for 21. You get paid 25 less. I think their fee's like $500, and they handle everything. So it's kind of a neat way to not have to buy through a dealer to get that incentive. But again, that's all going to go away. What is it? Is it September, or are they doing it till the end of the year?
September 30th.
You're on mute there,
Jason. I'm on mute too. Yeah, sorry. We're both on mute and we're talking.
Yeah,
September 30th. Yes,
September 30th. Yeah. I read something about one of the sites saying the end of the year, and I don't know what that was, but I know September 30th. I
think there were a couple different versions of the Senate and the House, and they changed. But I believe it's September 30th from what I
when they did the final negotiation, that was one of the things that, along with the solar one, by the way,
it's hard enough to sell an EV now. For we all know Cybertruck's not selling, and it's all cost. If that Cybertruck right now, if you could buy a dual motor Cybertruck for $52,000 brand new, I think they'd sell.
I'm shocked that Tesla hasn't been more. I'm really curious what their cost to manufacture is, because one of the big whole things was that this was going to be, the like the casting, the big giga casting and the simplicity of assembly. And I'd love to see an insider come in and kind of talk about what the real cost to make, maybe a Monroe or somebody. Monroe is so in the bag for Tesla right now that I don't know if he's as honest as he is with some others, but my expectation was they were going to come in, scale this thing, get the price way down, and they have not done it, and it's slipped down to number three behind Hummer.
Yeah, and even the rear wheel drive, you lose so much stuff.
Rear wheel, that's a joke. That never should have. That was an abomination. Yeah,
I agree, and that's why we're seeing the Lightnings hold as strong as they are. There's nothing that can compete with that truck from an all around. If you look at all aspects, price, range, quality, charge speed. Yeah, the Silverado EV and the Chevy EV goes longer, but it weighs a whole bunch more, and it doesn't ride as good, and it's not as fast. The Cybertruck is an awesome truck. It's losing by two things. Number one is the price. Number two is the look. Not everybody likes the look of them. I mean, Jace, you get people, you can't pull up to some folks' house trying to roof their house in a Cybertruck. They're going to tell you to leave. If that
I mean, you might get 5% that are, rah, maybe if you're lucky, 10% in the right neighborhood. The 95% is not going to be happy about it. And it's not even that. It might not be a political thing. It might be more of because, as we've talked about and people talk about it all the time, there's still this notion that Tesla is a premium car, right? An expensive brand. Yeah, not even premium, but expensive, right? Just that it costs a lot, that you must be wealthy to own one.
That's
and we know that's not really the truth, right? In reality, that's not the case, at least anymore.
And if you pull up in one of those to roof their house, they're going to think this guy's making too much money.
Yeah.
That's not a good what we love about our, specifically, even when you compare the Platinum Lightning to the Platinum Ice F-150, it's a sleeper looks wise comparative. Like, it doesn't like it doesn't say King Ranch or whatever.
Not
You've seen
chromed
Platinum
out.
Plus, the new F-150 trim Platinum Plus. Like, they're pretty loaded. The Platinum Lightning is pretty sleeper,
It's
other than
pretty
like
quaint.
the grill. But
In you're just pulling up in a pretty decent looking new F-150. I mean, nobody knows.
Yeah, and nobody even knows necessarily that it's electric, which is
And I
even
got to tell you,
better for our case. Usually.
outside of their quality issues, the LT or even the 4WT or 5WT Chevy is probably the second best buy going right now. I know you can buy those in the 50s, the 4WT, 5WT.
And they're doing something with that Hummer. Like, they've discounted that Hummer a lot to be able to be the number 2 selling truck out of nowhere. Like, I don't know what the deals are, but they got to be making deals on Hummer.
That today, the lease deal, $713 down and $713 a month for 10,000 miles a year for 3 years. That's pretty good. I mean, for lease, if you're worried about,
we should pull up Nate the Great's question here, because it kind of goes into what we were talking about. Yeah.
Shout out to Nate.
Looking
and
for,
I'm here. By the way, I'm here in the Bay Area, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're on Facebook, man, hit us up on Bay Area Lightning Club on Facebook, and we have a group of us here in the Bay Area, and we also do stuff with NorCal EVs. We do a get together with Ford coming up, big get together with Electrify Expo in Alameda, right there where the Hornet is. Huge gathering. It's going to be amazing. So hit us up on Bay Area Lightning Club and NorCal EVs. It's going to be a really cool thing. So you can come by and see a whole bunch of trucks, and whether you don't have to be a Lightning owner, like there's or a Mach-E owner. We got Rivians, we got Teslas, all kinds of people. So
and it's cool to be able to see those in one spot, because you really get to see the difference. This question though is a really good question. We are seeing a ton of flashes being bought right now, new, and I think a lot of that is price. But for me, there's only one, and it's the Lariat, and there's a bunch of reasons why.
Yeah, and I'm assuming though he's meaning the longer range, that he's looking at a standard range Lariat as opposed to an extended range Lariat. That would be the only way that the Flash would have the longer range. But yeah, I mean, both Chris and I obviously standard range Lariat owners previously. There's a big caveat there, because actually, as we both experienced, you could get especially in 2022 or 2023, you could get a Lariat standard range with or without Blue Cruise and pack meaning phone is a key, and they were bundled together. That's no longer the case, but back then those two came together. So you'll definitely, if Blue Cruise hands-free driving is important to you, phone is the key if that's important to you, which I believe, by the way, Hummer EV still does not have phone as a key, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy to me.
Did your Lariat have phone as a key? Was that part of the same package as Blue Cruise?
Yeah, it was bundled together, and 2022, 2023, they were bundled together. I had both, which I couldn't go back any. Like, we've been using phone as key for 3 years now. So
the extended ranges, you could get it without that. I think that's the way they came.
Extended range had everything, including the sunroof, the tilting steering wheel, and rain sensing wipers, and the moonroof.
Your options were Max Tow or Tow Tech in the early ones.
Yeah, correct. So I think some of this question, there's so much interest. This is a great question, man. We can go in so many directions with this, because I think for my money, the 22-23 is the best of the trucks. That's when the trucks were fully equipped, because every year after that they started removing something.
Well, and then 22 really is the best, but 23 is so close behind it. I'm buying 23. So
the only thing I would say about 23 though is that that's when you're starting to get into chip shortage. So like you may come across a delete that you may not be happy with.
And you lose the bed scales. That's really the only two things.
Yeah, heated steering wheel should be back though on if it was done on most trucks, which I mean I would be shocked.
And it's a $200 module and an FDRS update. It's really not a big deal. It's the turn signal, the module with the turn. So that's what I've done it myself. They're not a big deal.
Yeah, I think the thing here is so there's a couple things. The unicorn truck would be the late build Job 2 2023 without the deletes that somebody bought in 24 because it sat on a lot. Because then you've got more Blue Cruise time, then you've got more warranty time. If you can come across the 23, you got to check for all that. Like, when was it sold? Not just when was it manufactured, but when was it sold? What was deleted? Do you care about the deletes? So I think I would start my search
weird.
with the.
Well, Chris, did it not get weird on some of those, not having tailgate step on certain ones and not having like some of the late 23s? There were some things missing.
Some supply chain stuff.
Yeah, like
CMSL camera on the back. The bed cam was gone. There were a few. So you just and maybe not as many. There were, I know that because there were some in the Platinum too. So like maybe not as many in the Flash or the Lariat. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one. I guess too. Are you looking at a Flash that has 123, or are you looking at a Flash that has 131? There's another layer to it.
In the new ones, he's saying 22 or 23, so those would all be 131 or 98.
The Flash didn't come out until 24, so I
right.
think
So the
Flash is
yeah. So which Flash? And here's the thing:
actually, I think he's saying a 22 or 23 Lariat or Flash. You're right, Jace.
Correct.
Yeah. And you got to be so careful with the Flash, because a lot of people have bought the Flash expecting Pro Power to be standard, because in the 22s and 23s, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jace, everything, even the XLT, full Pro Power was standard, was it not?
Mine does, but it's an extended range.
That's a good question. I don't know about. Yeah, I think that's the way it was. Yeah, I think you're right, Martin. I think if you had extended range, you got it automatically.
Yeah.
I had it in my standard range though, but it came automatically because I had a Lariat. So when it goes to XLT, I'm not quite sure.
And now it's not standard in Lariat. It's not standard in Flash.
No, you got to watch it now.
But they have made some adjustments, which is good. You see it often, actually, a lot on Flash, just because it was still underneath the cap, and people optioned it a lot. I saw it optioned a lot on the Flashes that I was looking at when I was looking for my truck.
You had to make one of two choices. You could either have the max tow, or you could have the Pro Power, but you couldn't have both.
Correct.
So here's something to consider.
Lariat, right?
Yeah.
So here's something else to consider. 22 or 23 Lariat on an extended range is going to have the 80 amp charging.
Yeah.
24 or newer, that's gone. Any of the variants.
So I think these are the things that come to my mind that you have to decide if they're important to you or not. The 80 amp charging. If you're not going to wire up an 80 amp charger, then who cares?
Yeah, you're not I need the range. I won't buy a 24, and if I do, I'm going to add dual chargers, because I come home. It boils down to what you're doing every day. If you're driving like Chris does, and you're driving 30 miles a day, you got plenty of time to charge.
I'm only using 40 to begin with.
Yeah, I will run my truck to 5% pulling in the driveway at midnight, and I need it to be 100% or whatever the next morning, and I can't do that with 48 amp charging.
Yep. So I think that's question number one. Do you need the 80 amp? If you need the 80 amp, then go with the 22 and the 23. I think the next question is, do you value the things like the folding mirrors, like being in Bay Area, parking lots the way they are? They're not
Blue Cruise. I would put all that, like Blue Cruise, phone is a key, folding mirrors, ventilated seats. That's another one I would add onto that.
Little things like you got the rear sliding door, the rear sliding window is not on the
tail
Flash.
Light bar.
The tail light bar, which is only an aesthetic. So this is a double-edged sword, light bar, right?
Yeah.
If the light bar is not there, it can't get condensation.
Which I have a problem with. And now Ford's not wanting to warranty.
What about power tailgate too? Does the Flash have power tailgate?
The XLT,
or does it just have assist?
I want to say the 24 had it, but the 25 doesn't.
The 23 XLT long range has it's an option for the tailgate power up and down and the tailgate step. Mine,
I think the step also is not standard with the.
That's
with the Flash.
True. And now they took. I believe they removed workstation,
keypad.
Right?
Workstation, so bottom line, that's a big one
and
to
keypad.
Me.
Yeah, bottom line, Nate, if you're listening and you find a truck and you want to know, I don't know what this truck has, send it to one of the three of us and we'll decode it for you.
We'll give you the whole rundown. I had Tom Suburbs and Flash and whoever else.
I felt bad for Tom. I felt so bad for Tom because I think Tom would have really wanted that fold down workstation. And I think he wanted the bigger battery. And I think had he known, he would have taken a little bit more time to search some of those.
Well, there's only one way to know on all this stuff for sure, and that's get the VIN sticker, the Monoroni.
Correct.
And I can get that if anybody ever needs it. I have a friend who hooks me up from Ford, and I can get those just in a minute. And we'll look on there and see if you think you found the truck.
I can send to you too.
Yeah, you got a link too. But I'm just saying that that's the one way that I like. There is no way. I have to find out from
But
my
I will
friend.
say, if the dealer doesn't give you the window or won't give it to you, red
It's a
flag.
red flag. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
One more.
They should have it. Should.
One more difference in the Flash, and I know for sure 25, and I'm not sure about 24. I meant to find out. And this was a weird one when I was looking at Flash, and I was like, the Flash is the Flash was my smart financial deal was buy used, buy Flash, and of course I'm an idiot and I go platinum. I go completely the opposite direction of being financially smart.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It was a great deal on a platinum, but but I could have had saved myself a heck of a lot of money going Flash or used. But one of the things that really swayed me away from Flash, I was already kind of swayed away by the folding mirrors just because I use them so much. But and this is gonna sound ridiculous. The back seat does not have a fold down armrest with cup holders. And with two kids,
that's right. I remember you saying that. Yeah,
that was a deal breaker for me. Yep. I needed that fold down, and I couldn't
Otherwise
remember if I never noticed it.
And putting it on your console.
Yeah, I'd love somebody with a 24 Flash chime in. I swear that was there, and maybe I just didn't realize it wasn't. But
no, I don't think it is, Chris, because the Flash is the updated XLT with the
and the XLT doesn't have the.
No, it does not. Different leather interior. Yeah. I've put 2 sets of lariat leather in, and I've got to do it again. And you have to be careful when you're upgrading your leather. So I'm putting black leather in this new truck as well, just like I did in Josh's and my first one. And you have the back seat is the difference for that center console.
Yeah, so I think those would be my top list. Would be does the 80 amp charging matter to you? Do you need the folding mirrors, the power folding mirrors? You can manually fold all of them, but these are power folding mirrors. It's just so easy. And then
like we mentioned, the rear window, that was big for me.
Rear window.
I used the rear window more because I didn't have the moonroof in my standard range Lariat, much like you, Chris. Now I do. It just rattles around all the time, so I can't stand it. But I use the rear window all the time, much more than my moonroof. Like,
well, the rear window,
that was big for me.
FYI, if you guys don't know, the rear window is much less problematic to break than the sunroof. The sunroofs have these rails down the side, and they are a problem. And the other thing about the sunroof is every single F-150 built leaks from the factory, and they drain down the sunroof channels and out the tubes. That is by design. So if you're in a place that rains a lot, there's going to be moisture inside your truck that you're not even aware of, that is designed to be there. So if you don't want a sunroof, to me, I would have, if I could build the
because you're not going to be able to, there's not, if you want a nice trim, you can't get it. That's the unfortunate part. Like,
I'll say this,
our platinum leaked already within 5 weeks of, we took it in. I tweeted about it. Yeah, we took it into the dealer.
How did I miss that?
They got it in actually the next day, which was awesome. Their leak guy, they said.
What did they find that was?
So they said the leak guy's coming in tomorrow. Do you want to bring it in? And we were like, okay. And they were like, we're not sure if we can fix it tomorrow or what, but we'll have him look at it, see how much time he has, kind of thing, and like we'll just go from there. So luckily, this dealer is like right next to Justin's office.
The good thing about it is those headliners are magnetized to the roof.
Yeah.
Or Velcroed. I can't remember which, but you just pop it down and then you run some water over the top and you can see where it's dripping. There's seals on that tray all the way down. I've done these. And then on the rear, there's a tube that goes and dumps out. But if that tube runs uphill a little bit, it'll let it pool up too much and it'll leak. So there's a few things that are.
Ours was that it was, the one was kinked from the factory. And he said something about like they have a specialized fix for it where this one in particular, if it's kinked, they have to technically replace the entire thing. They have to remove the dash. That's what he said. I don't know. And that he rerouted this one another direction, and it works fine. There's no issues with it. But
if you open your door, if you open your door on the front doors and you look just below the wiring harness boot, about 6 inches down on the truck side, there's a little rubber. That's where the water dumps out.
Yeah. I've seen the videos of the people pulling them, and they're like peeing for 5 minutes. Yeah, ours did leak through the speaker, through the where the motion sensor is, or used to be.
It pulls up, and there's nowhere for it to go.
So the indicator, if I've got a leak, is going to be up in the center of the roof.
Yeah, the first leak came out of the speaker for us. That was the first one, and that's pretty common from what you'll see online. But yeah, they had it fixed. We took it that day, and they fixed it in like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, and it hasn't leaked since. So,
not picking on Ford.
I have a recall on my truck that for the same thing to take it in. So
not picking on Ford. All sunroofs are this way. Every brand, every manufacturer, they all have. It's just anytime you put a big hole in the roof and then you try to seal it with something that can be removed, it leaks.
And
so I think that's the benefit to the Flash, is that the Flash is you don't have the sunroof, you don't have the rear tail light bar that can get condensation. It's going to give you a lot of the great features that you want.
And the sunroof feels, with the sunroof, I mean, yes, it's glass, so it's nice, but without the sunroof, the roof feels a little taller, just because it kind of is.
I think and again, it just goes down that list of things that you value. I would definitely seek out trying to find that 131 battery if possible.
And if you could find a Flash with 131, less payload's really important to you, but that'd be the only reason, probably, I would say, if you really need that couple extra 100 pounds. But I mean, you could. I see people all the time exceed the payload just for a little.
Oh yeah, I do it all the time too. The Lightning holds way more than they think it will.
You'll be fine.
And then I want to share. I took a couple pictures today of something that I noticed, and it's weird because I was, sometimes something's bothering you, just can't put a finger on it. You're like, what is different here? And I finally figured it out today. This was talk about deletes, right?
One.
And this is the old one. This is the one. This is the original area here.
Chris, that got me the day you came to my house. I tried to open your frunk, and the button was gone, and I'm like, what happened?
They had moved it. So if you look at and it's a little thing, but if you notice here on the top, you've got this illuminate the left mirror, illuminate the right mirror, and then you've got your open your frunk and open your tailgate, and then down below by the switch for the different headlight settings, that is illuminate the rear cargo deck area, right?
Right.
And in the new one, they're all gone. And I was curious, Jace, if your Platinum was like this. I cannot control the lights anymore, and they've moved the frunk and the tailgate down to here, and I don't have the tail. I can't illuminate the back light anymore. And so I was curious if that was a 25 or a 24 thing.
I'm pretty sure that's a 25 thing. I'm pretty sure.
Martin,
that's just like the old one.
Do you think the wire harness is behind? You know how some of these things, like behind the coin mech, is the actual harness for the?
I haven't. I'm not going to speak that I've looked, but I would almost bet it's there. They save money by not adding another switch panel.
And I'm like, all of the little.
And then they won't update that harness until maybe next year or the next year. It's funny how it's like this updates, and because that part happened to be ready, or they ran out of supplies of the old one, and how can we save some money?
They had 300,000 of the other harnesses. They're going to use them up and just let the plug hang inside the dash. Chris, that little cover right there, the top one, that pops right off. I'm sure you could pop that off there with a little non-marring pry tool and look in there. It would show it. In fact, you don't even have to do that. You can go around the side. That panel's designed to be popped off. The one on the side of the dash, and just look in there. If there's a plug hanging, we'll order you that part, and bam, you're good to go.
Pop it in, man. I'm like, how?
I think, too, with the 2025 that we saw, I mean, the 2024 had a few things removed, HomeLink, those sorts of things, but specifically with 2025, and it sort of follows ICE a little bit, too, which is so interesting, because they are kind of separate, right? But they are also similar in how Ford does things. The 2025 was quoted as saving like 2,800 parts for Ford, the ICE version. And so whatever changes I think that they could bring to Lightning, they did. And so I think we're seeing that play out with the 2025, probably more so than any of the trucks. I mean, we've seen you don't have like the motion sensor. What the onboard, do you have onboard scales or don't?
I don't have onboard scales. You have them for 24, but I don't have them for 25.
Yeah.
So that is come and gone. Like 22 had them, 23 didn't, 24 they're back, 25 they're gone again.
But it was a chip shortage originally, and now I think they're gone.
A choice.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not a deal. Those are gimmicky. They don't work right. Who cares?
We have them and never use them.
I think
in the extended range, we'd never used them before.
The big thing I want to switch is the visor. Because I'm going to switch out the one on the right side anyway, the Jim Farley signed one. I snagged that from my original truck.
Nice. Yeah.
So I do want to order the left side, the driver's side, so I can swap out both of those visors.
Check, because they'll run some deals on those too. I got mine. I only needed to order one because I stole the other one from my other truck. But um, I did both Justin and I's our platinums with them. And the one place, it was like something crazy. Like they were running a deal for like 60% off the part or something. And so I was like, sweet. I jumped on
Well,
it. It was like
Chris, your other
awesome.
option is Wi-Fi overhead door and app in CarPlay.
See, I
kind of
have
figure
that
out.
too, but I have that as well, and I still use the freaking home link
Oh,
button.
me too. If
I
I
just,
ever have
it's
a
just
Lightning that doesn't have
so.
home link, I'm doing this.
What's the app? And so I have a Chamberlain MyQ that I can open the
Yeah,
app
you
on
got the
my.
Chamberlain, so that's the
Yeah,
MyQ's tough. It's
I
all
can do it on my
subscription
phone.
based.
I can do it on
But
my
do you have
It's
phone,
a
but
not
I
home
can't.
link compatible.
Yeah.
no? But
Mm-mm.
can you do the MyQ app in CarPlay and it show up through that?
I need to check. I'm not sure.
I don't know if they have that, but yeah, I've seen so many people complain about MyQ and Chamberlain. That's why we decided not to do it. We still have our old Genie with a Insignia controller on it, and it was HomeKit compatible. It's discontinued now, but HomeKit compatible. You just tell who. I'll save everybody out there and all their devices, but you tell her, and she opens it right up. Or right on the CarPlay screen. Boop.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I had
I
it
just
in
want
my
to go.
Mach E in like 2021.
I'm gonna go through some of the comments real quick that we didn't have time to hit on, but just Wes saying that deep South Georgia, the guys are all stopping, talking to him about the Lightning. Haven't really met anybody that hates it, right? And I get that
I
all
think
the
we talked
time.
about that last week, Chris,
Yeah, I'm
right?
not
Yeah,
Like
either.
we were speaking about that. We've
You get a lot of
so many
surprise
people
looks.
hate online, but never even the guys you
No,
would think would be mean about it. They're not. They're not mean in person.
no. You
yeah,
get
and
people who are surprised when you pop up the front. They're like, "Where's your motor?" But other than that,
yeah. Matt saying the same thing. One of the great things about the Lightning is just looks like an F-150, that same body, and that's where, like, again, I that's what I like about it. Like, I want to change the wheels just to have that little something unique so it doesn't look like everybody else's. And, but aside from that, like, somebody, Jace did, I think. Jace was saying, hey, are you going to level it? And I'm like, nah, I like the rake personally. I like the way it looks in general.
The only one I would do is the new Rough Country kit, where it raises the front like I think 0.75 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then it lowers the back an inch and a half. And I'm
Okay.
like tempted to do that one. That one I'm like, ooh, I would love that, but.
And then Paul chiming in that the Tesla sunroofs are absolutely horrible. I didn't realize that.
oh yeah,
The,
yeah. But
the
the
seal
best
or
way to fix a Tesla sunroof, silicone it shut.
yours seem to be
Seriously,
fine though, right? Yours 10 years old. Yours
30,000
was
mile
fine.
car. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Where was it from? Did you know when you bought it off Copart?
Chicago.
Where Chicago? So that's plenty of snow and rain. Maybe it
Yep.
was indoors.
Oh
A
yeah.
Tesla
This car didn't
10
have a
year
drop of
ago
rust on it.
Chicago person may have. That's probably
Yeah,
$100,000
my
car.
car in the shop, the P85 is from Minneapolis, and what little bit of steel parts are on it, it's rusty.
Yeah. Then Wes just asking. Jace is going to figure this out soon. Well, not soon, but
Yeah,
6 months, I
I
guess.
mean, it's tough to know, every drive's different, so you kind of have to average it across the season. We've seen some folks that, have had 24s now go through the winter season, and it's tough again because we need almost someone who's like going to take a 23 Lariat extended range without the heat pump, and then a 24, Lariat extended range with one and do the exact same drive. And I don't think we've really seen anybody at the
No,
same
but you're
time,
not going
right?
to get. It's going to take a hit though. It's not like you're driving a gas truck where the winter doesn't affect because of the heater at all. The gas truck is affected by
It,
cold weather, but not
no,
by the
But
heat.
yeah, is it that much more efficient? I have not seen numbers that show that it is that much more efficient. No. I've not seen some incredible gain that like is out, 10% or something. But again, I think it's just there's so much variables to it. And
So
correct me if I'm wrong, like Martin, doesn't the Lightning have a backup resistive heater anyway? So
yes, it does. It does.
even with so heat pumps are only so efficient in certain temperatures, so it's tough to
It's
say.
all.
And
That's
I think
exactly
it
right.
probably matter if you have max towing too,
If you
right?
hit the
Because
right temperature and the right everything lined up right, it's probably more efficient. But I can tell
yeah,
you this: the Lightning gets about 1.5 in the cold and about 2.0 in the summer. I mean, that's it with non-heat pump. So you might see
yeah.
1.7, 1.8 in the winter, and somebody needs to.
it's
We
not
need to have
nothing.
some people say that.
No, it
Now,
isn't. It's not nothing for sure. I think it depends on, again, those conditions. Like when it gets down to,
0.
-5, yeah, I don't,
It ain't gonna
you
matter.
might be using resistive heater more, but
Yeah.
it would probably matter if you have max tow too, right, Martin? Because you would have two,
That's the
condensers, right?
compressor. On the heat
So it
pump
wouldn't have the
side,
focus as much, right?
yeah, the AC system is
If
just for the AC side, so and it's running in reverse, and so I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll have to see how that plays out. I don't even know how the max tow trucks
Again,
compare in heat pump.
I haven't seen anybody that's like, oh, it's astronomical gains. I think it's a good thing that the platform has it. If Ford needed it, they needed the Mach-E, they needed the Lightning. It's good that they have it. Is it that much more
Tesla
efficient? I haven't
benefits
seen
from it.
anything that.
The heat pumps and the Tesla benefit because the car is pretty efficient, and so it takes a bigger hit.
and now with a house heat pump, your heat pump controls both your AC and your heat. Is it the same with
Yep.
the truck? Is it doing both,
Yeah, in
or is it
theory, yes. So a heat pump is an air conditioner running in reverse. That's the bottom basic easy way to explain it.
so in theory it should be more efficient in both seasons, or not necessarily?
No, it's going to be the same in the summer.
Okay, so it's working as an AC.
What makes a 22 and 23 Lightning inefficient is the fact that they're running electric through a wire and it's resisting heat, and then you blow a fan across
It's
that.
like a giant hair dryer, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Exactly.
And then I'm
That's what I've heard.
curious. You were talking about max tow, and this is something I picked up on one of Brandon Flash's videos that I had never seen. Maybe I've missed it, but I've never seen anybody else talk about this, demonstrate it, or do it. So I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Which is he was almost using his tow, like his max tow, like a
I do
battery
that.
preconditioner. I'd never seen that
Mhm.
before. So is
Yeah,
that
you can do it. You can do it with
I
sport
believe
mode
Ben
too.
Westby does it too. Yeah, up and down the mountain
so when
Yeah, so I
to
do
you're
that.
increase regen and help with temp.
Before we had the Google EV routing where it preconditioned, and all that,
yeah.
I was doing that anytime because with your OBD2 scanner, you can see that kick on and you can see the battery come up. If it's 30 degrees outside, 20 miles from the battery, I just kick it over into tow haul mode and it brings that temp right up.
So it's going to work both, because in Brandon's example, it was the opposite. It was in a warm temperature
Trying to
Yeah, and
and
cool
bring
it,
it down.
right?
hit
That's right.
cooled it. So when you go max tow or you go sport mode, it's going to kick on that second loop and it's going to cool it or heat it to a better
Yes.
way, in a better way, either both.
Yes.
I didn't realize it'd be both directions. So
Not max tow, just when you go to
Yeah,
tow
tow
mode.
tow
haul.
haul mode. I'm
There
sorry,
you go.
but
Yeah.
If
but
you don't
isn't
have max tow, you wouldn't have that second loop.
And it
oh,
wouldn't do it as fast.
but it'll do it. Will it do it regardless of if you
Yeah.
have Mac? Okay, I
Yeah.
thought there was something extra with that extra loop
No.
that was
It's
causing
just
this,
the
but it would.
mode basically
It's the mode.
controlling. Yeah.
So the cabin heat or the cabin cooling is one pump on a max tow. The secondary one that's down there where your transmission would normally be, that's where they sit. That one's only for the battery and for the inverters and stuff. It's just for the electrical side of the truck.
So in theory, does that mean somebody with max tow is slightly less efficient because it's running two compressors? Is that
Yeah, and it's
another
heavier. I
interesting?
fully believe that. My truck
Or
has
not just
never
heavier,
gotten.
but energy use, right? If you've got to energize two compressors, would
That's
that
I
correct.
not
think it's smart about how it uses them, but overall, yeah.
But you can watch
interesting?
the kilowatts being pulled when you turn it on. It does jump up, and my efficiency does drop by a little bit. We're talking 5%. It's not
Right,
enough to
right.
really
Yeah.
notice it.
No, I really just like kind of
You're wasting more with how heavy the platinum is.
Yeah, yeah. And Wes just talking about even a house heat pump uses a heat strip if it's not cold
Yep.
enough. I have seen that. I've seen
Yep.
where there's like a backup, and California doesn't get cold enough to have to worry about that.
No, I think you're
Well,
good. If it's that
not in the
cold,
Bay
we're
Area.
having some serious issues. If it's the
Yeah.
day after tomorrow or something.
You get up in Yosemite and around the pass and stuff, it gets pretty cold, but not in your area, Chris.
No, not
Sh-
in southern, or the Bay Area.
Shout out to Martin's trip out here in that summertime visit where it was 44 degrees as we went to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was but that is about the good thing about the Bay Area is it kind of limits itself. It takes it will get to the 40s, but it's not really going to get to the 30s, and it will get to the 80s in San Francisco, but it's not going to get ever to the hundreds. It kind of regulates itself right there on the ocean.
Very interesting how right on the coast, all the way up and down San Francisco till about noon, you had fog every day.
Totally changed.
That inner heat was pulling that moisture inward, and I didn't realize that was the case. I'd never been, but
we have these. I don't know if this is I'm either gonna sound stupid or I'm gonna educate somebody on something. Probably a little bit of both. Do all areas have microclimates? We talk about that a lot in the Bay Area, where we come in from Sacramento. It's 105 in Sacramento. You get to my part of the East Bay, and it might be like 95. You get to the peninsula, and it might be 80. And then you get to San Francisco, Half Moon Bay proper, and you're all the way down to the 60s.
Typically, it's driven by large bodies of water nearby or elevation.
Elevation's a good call. Yeah, I bet Ben's got a bunch of different
stuff like that. But here in Northeast Ohio, I mean, we have the snow belt. You're on Lake Erie, so you'll see. Buffalo will get crazy amounts of snow, but literally like 3 miles south, they'll get nothing. And that is cyclical, right? That's seasonal. So you can track that every year, and you can see how, especially here in Cleveland, if you're on the east side, you get way more snow. You might average 100+ inches. And as you go further west, it goes lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's funny how that all affects, your climate and your yearly precipitation rates and all that stuff. You go to Toledo, they don't get any snow, comparative to, Ashtabula, Ohio, which gets literally sometimes 200 inches of snow a season. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, Chris, I know you wanted to get to some of the updates. We got about 25 minutes left, and you wanted to get to some of the updates, some of the Forscan stuff that we had done to your truck. And Jason, I know you did some Forscanning, but I had something I wanted to share because that's going to take a minute. This won't take long. That I put together for hopefully the upcoming generator that's going to be running in the back of the truck. I put this together, and these are all estimated. A lot of work went into this, what I'm about to share, but this is going to show you kind of what we expect this generator to produce. So this is based on a standard range, not towing in average climate. I'm sorry, an extended range, not towing in average climate. So I don't know how well this shows up. I'm trying to blow it up and make it as kind of as big as we can here. If you look at 70 miles an hour at 2 miles per kilowatt hour, that's about 262 miles. So that's your baseline of why we know this chart is not insane. So down the left is your speed. Across the top is your size of your generator in kilowatts. So 0 would be, no generator at all. So you can, at 80 miles an hour, you should have about 230 miles of range. At 60 is 294. For those guys out there wondering why their Lightning's not getting 320 or 300 on a Platinum that you are, it's because you're driving faster than the EPA average is, So you want to get in that average, you need to be running 50 to 55 miles an hour. And then you can get what they say, and that is their 60-40% split average. But this is where it gets interesting. If you look at this chart, 3,500 watt, 3.5 kilowatt generator at 70 is gaining us about 30 miles of range. And there's a lot of background that went into this, So the bottom line is, how many kilowatts are you adding back to what the truck's pulling away as it runs down the highway at 70?
I just want to see you accomplish this, man, because this is like your white whale, man. This is your.
Well,
you got to make this happen.
It's not just me though, Chris. I know Jesse's, or I'm sorry, Jesse's off on hydrogen. We always give us crap about this, but
right.
What's Ford going to do in 27? I think we're all going to be surprised how many series hybrids are coming.
Oh no, I think it's going to be heavy series hybrid.
Really, and that's what I'm trying to build here before we get there. But I'm trying to build it in such a way that you don't lose your frunk, and you have it when you need it. So that's kind of the thing. So I'm targeting this 70 miles an hour run because the average highway is 70 miles an hour. There's some interstates that get up faster, and I didn't put 85 in here because you can't even blue cruise over 80. So 80 was kind of the top here. So as you go across, your generator size, and so we're gonna make this system a kind of a bring your own generator. So if Grandpa's got one in the shop, that's a 5,000 watt Honda, you can put it in there. Or if you've got this commercial 20 kilowatt bad boy or this 10 kilowatt from Harbor Freight, you can bring your own. We're doing a middleman system where you'll be able to install this kit, put the generator in the bed, plug it in, and it works. So like a 10 kilowatt, which is roughly what Harbor Freight sells, you'll get 366 miles of range out of that.
Yeah, and there's
talking highway range, not this EPA crap. So if you go back up to the EPA crap, that's in the 575 number, which is what they would rate if you run the generator all the time. And if you look all the way up here in the top right, it gets really stupid. At 20 kilowatt generator, the numbers actually go negative because the truck's now producing. Excel really freaked out when I built this chart. The truck's producing more out of the generator at 20 kilowatt at this speed than you can use. So it's got like an infinity range.
Which is pretty. It's limited only by the gas tank that you've got in it at that point.
So you want to stop. If you want to make your truck lightning with these generators, run all the way across the country, all you got to do is stop at the gas pump and run 50 miles an hour. And you can run infinity with it. So you're not going to do that otherwise. So these numbers get really big because the speeds you're running and the amount of kilowatts you're using. But these numbers at the top are kind of irrelevant. Nobody runs those consistently. And really, the thing about the generator is going to be the trips. The guys who are either towing, like myself, or running on a trip, you're trying to extend the range. This chart is the one that I put together for non-towing. I have the same chart that shows for towing, and we're going to release all of this when it's all out. I just wanted people to kind of be able to see it. In fact, I think I have it. Yeah, here's the same chart for towing. So I'm using base numbers based on the 70 or 80,000 miles of experience I have towing. So 70 miles an hour, you're going to get about 196 miles of range-ish, depending on how much you're towing and what. That'll drop half of that if you're towing a great big trailer. You have to plug in your efficiency to get there. And we're going to build a calculator when we actually build our website for people to say, okay, what do I expect for my efficiency? What kind of truck do I have? And then it'll spit out this chart. So let's roll back over here to this other one. What's really interesting is at 70 miles an hour at a big generator, I'm going to get 500 miles of range. This is the key one right here. So you can put a 17.5 kilowatt in a 22 and a 23. The reason this is that way is we're actually planning to use the onboard chargers of the truck and activate those so they charge the truck while you're running down the road. That's the plan. That's the secret sauce that Zach and I are working through so that you can actually use the onboard chargers. You don't have to bring an inverter to connect to Grandpa's, Honda generator to make this work. So anyway,
and just to kind of give perspective, though, this is going to be done on a salvage title, out of warranty vehicle. This isn't going to be something that people can just go buy a generator and have a quick and easy way to plug in.
It's going to be, but you're going to do it at your own risk. I mean, I'm saying that if we're going to market these as a kit, and if you're doing it no different, Chris, than the 50 million people who took an F-150 and tuned it. Or a Dodge pickup and tuned it. That's what people. Or maybe
did. When I think of those people that sometimes I see on the back of F-150s, they have they're running off of a different fuel. I don't know if it's grease or something. Where I've seen these.
Yep.
So it'd be that kind of.
So basically, that kind of equivalent mod. We have a lot of testing to do. So this is not to market yet, but I've had a ton of people asking me about this. Lots of messages wanting to know when's the generator going to be done. I'm tired of trips. I can't tow with the Lightning because it goes 120 miles. The real range on a Lightning is 75% when you're on the road. If we really think about it, you want to run it down to 5 and not over 80. So that's 75% of your battery. So you really got 75%. Whereas a gas truck, you can run it empty and fill it all the way up and keep moving. So it's hard for a Lightning to compare towing on the highway to a gas truck. That's why we're doing this. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and share a little bit of data here that we kind of come up with as estimated numbers that we think we're going to get based on what size generator that you have. And I will be doing the initial testing on this, hopefully in about 6 weeks when I head to Canada in this truck that I haven't even built yet.
Yeah, I think
awesome. Super cool.
It's interesting you bringing that up too. There's and I'll just kind of put up here before we kind of go on to our last segment. We got so many people watching, with between YouTube and a lot of people on X. Man, we got a great X crowd going right now. About over 40 people on X checking us out. So yeah, for those of you guys that are watching and chatting, don't forget to hit a like, throw a comment into the YouTube channel. Those of you guys on X, when you have time, go and help us out and subscribe on YouTube. I love that you're watching on X. One of the big things for us is, paying for the streaming software and this kind of stuff that we're doing. We are monetized. So we only get that real benefit for folks that are on YouTube. We're not monetized on X. That's an incredibly difficult platform. Just for perspective, you have to have 5 million impressions on X to monetize. And when I was going through my buyback process, I had one post alone that had 1 million views, 1 million impressions. And even during that 90-day period, with all of the attention and activity that was circulating around buying the new truck, I ended up with 3.6 million. So that was easily my biggest 90-day period on X, and I was at 3.6 million, and I need 5. So like it's so hard to monetize on X, whereas on YouTube, myself, I'm monetized on Bow Family EV. Martin, you think you just recently hit the first
I just got
threshold?
approved to be monetized. No checks or nothing yet. I'm not quite there, but
and so these things, they help our little channels, right? So those of you guys that are fans, we'd love to have you go into YouTube and help us out with subscribing and commenting, even just saying, hey, anything, drop any word, like doesn't even matter what it is. It just helps.
It's not that we're trying to get rich, Chris. You know how much you're making off this, and it's not enough to quit your day job, but it does help us kind of keep the fire built, the passion going, that people actually like it, that they want us to continue this work that we're doing, spreading this awareness. That's really what it's about.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I just figured while we had that kind of captive audience, I would kind of throw that up there and mention it.
We appreciate it.
And just say, hey, and there's at some point, I'm going to work on a video where I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm going to show, it's been about a year now. I think I just hit my year mark of being monetized. And so I am going to, I'm going to take and be transparent about it and show like how the month grew and what my biggest month was. And it's an amount that helps me pay for things here and there, but it's
Chris, I love that transparency. I wish more YouTubers would do that. I know we probably need to do a review segment on stuff that companies have sent us so we can actually show the products that we've got. Because I know I'm starting to get some stuff from my channel. I got a new adapter from EV Base that looks like a knockoff of the Tesla, and I'm going to do a full test on it. I'm thinking about breaking it open and looking inside of it and finding out what it's about.
Dude, I got an EV Dance adapter.
Yeah.
I've got I don't even know what this one is. This is I don't know who this is. I've got this one that looks like the Tesla one.
That's how kind of like what mine looks like.
That's the EV Base, actually. That's EV Base.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
One Martin has. And then
so the worry with these, if everybody's looking at these adapters, the worry with these is they're not safe. We want to make sure they're safe.
So I've got this. So I've got 4 adapters these guys keep sending me. And my thing is that I need to have a low enough state of charge to do it. I'm going to take my temperature, my, laser thermometer. I'm going to see when it's pulling the full 500 amps. I'm going to see what the temperature is. And I'm just going to look at how it's constructed. Now, you're going to have a much better, as an engineer, Martin, you're going to have a way different perspective than what I'm looking at. I'm just going to kind of keep it simple. But like all that costs money, right? If I go and I charge for free at my house because I have solar. So for me to go out and do these 4 charging tests, or when I did my range cover on my tonneau cover, I had to go out to Central California to be where I could drive consistently enough at a speed. I had to pay for that supercharging. I had to pay for, not woe is me, believe me. I'd have done it for fun regardless, right? Don't misunderstand. But the views and the comments and all these things help with the views, and it helps with the monetization. And it's, $100 to $200 a month. And don't forget, especially in California, they're going to take state taxes, federal taxes, all that stuff. So it's not a tremendous, but it does pay for the supercharging. It does pay for like my editing software. It does pay for, the subscription for Canva to make the thumbnails.
Yeah,
like all of these things,
microphones and cameras and
these headphones, like all these different things. So it helps and it's awesome. So just kind of throw that out there. And then one thing, I was also I'll kind of throw it out to the audience. I'd love to see, speaking of comments, and you were talking about Canada and the compressor. There's this one of the guys that I follow on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen him. It's called Trucked Up.
Oh yeah,
and it's Simon out in Canada, and we just kind of talking back and forth a little bit. And I'd love to get him on the show one day. I'm not sure.
I think we should.
Yeah, wasn't sure how you guys would feel or the audience would feel. Like a lot of times we'll do interviews.
He's very in your face, and I love that he's not scared to talk about a topic. That's going to fit right in with me.
I love Simon because for once I can be the calm one. He gets fired up, man. I get fired up, but Simon gets fired up.
I guess I should do that. I should let my real personality out a little more on here.
Yeah. So, hey, I'd love for those of you guys that follow Simon, the trucked up EVs. He's great. He drive F-150. He's driven his F-150 all across Canada. Love to get his perspective on the cold. Well, it's funny enough. If you haven't seen it, Martin, go check out. I thought of you when I saw this video just in the past 2 weeks, I believe. He came out with an entire video talking about using a generator to charge his truck off grid,
but not driving, just
not driving.
Off grid. Yeah.
So I think it'd be fascinating to get him on, kind of talk to him about that, talk about Canada, talk about the cold. And I know this is more focused on tech stuff, and a lot of times Josh and Jesse, we have more of the interview format sometimes. But if the audience would love to interact with Simon and you guys are up for it, I'd love to do a live one with him. I told him I would get back to him when I got back from my trip. But it's we've been kind of going back and forth on that. So yeah, I think maybe we'll set that up. But I would love to make a comment, guys, if you guys are watching Simon and Trucked Up. He's got a great audience, great channel. That guy's monetized on Patreon. He's got like all kinds, sells merchandise. This dude's definitely doing it the right way. And one of the reasons I want to be transparent is because for every channel like an Out of Spec or a Jeeves or one of these really big, Jeremy Jenkins, right, who's out there making a hand over fist money with his stuff. There's a ton of channels that never monetize, or little small channels like us that our monetizing is small. And I think I'd love to share that with other YouTubers so that they don't feel like if they're not at Mr. Beast volume, hey, that's not unusual. Here's what just an average, below average. I don't even know where I'd fit into that thing, right? Like I want to share that so other people have perspective, Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think as we move into the, go ahead, Martin. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Chris, bring us into the Forscan edits that I know you're wanting to talk about, because you got some cool stuff that Jace did some cool stuff, and we don't have a lot of time, but we'll keep moving here.
Yeah, we'll close this out with the kind of the Forscan stuff, and we've talked about this in the past. But thanks to Martin, he came out here, and one of the things I really wanted that are helpful for me is you'll see here on this horribly fingerprinted screen, so I apologize, is silent mode checked on, which is really great for the family because we do a lot of drive-in movies. And so by checking silent mode, when I open or close the doors, all the lights around the truck that would normally illuminate every time I do that and be very disruptive in a drive-in. So what I would have to do is I'd have to roll down my windows. So if I ever need to reach in for something, it had to be within reach. I couldn't open those doors. So now I can open and close the doors with silent mode on, and it's used for camping or for drive-ins, and none of those lights will come on. And this is a feature that Martin enabled in Forscan. And then the other big one here that I know Jace did, and I'm curious, Jace, if you did any others, was the glare-free lighting, which is the Matrix headlights that, speaking of Canada, they're available in Canada. And this is something that a lot of the Teslas, I think, have started to roll out with an over-the-air software update. Maybe Rivian.
I believe Rivian was technically first.
For the guys on the line that don't know what that is, basically, layman's terms, it shuts off the part of the light that would be blinding and oncoming if you have your brights on. So it cuts off that section that would blind the oncoming car, but keeps like the right-hand side on. So if you're running in rural America, like a lot of us do, you can see the deer coming out of the ditch, but it's not blinding the guy coming at you. So it's a really good, if you've never driven with them and you go drive a country road after you get them, it is a game changer for being able to have visibility at night.
Yeah, no, I think I was asking.
It really is awesome.
I was asking you about this the other day, and is it better for the country road? Because on the freeway, and you mentioned this, Martin, the only time I really noticed, I was sitting there on the screen, turning it off and on, trying to tell the difference, and I could see it against the concrete barriers on the side of the road, but I couldn't really tell otherwise.
It doesn't do a lot on interstates and big freeways. So you'll see it kind of dancing, I call it, up ding 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 ding, and it'll go up and down through the concrete as the lights are coming at you. They'll be high brights. You'll see them start to. There's a whole bunch of little LEDs in there that it actually turns part of those off. That's why they call it dynamic light bending, is another industry term. But basically, it's turning off those. It's hard to tell until you meet a car on a 2-lane road and you look over to the right ditch and you can still see the ditch.
Okay.
And then you turn them off and you're going to get this really, all new LEDs or HIDs now have that line right across the middle of your, it's pretty good. So you're not blinding people, but that also turns off the ditch. So to me, it changes visibility drastically for animals and or pedestrians on the side of the road.
In mailboxes, yeah. Like the way I would explain it too is, think of, so like in our lightnings, you know the feeling of when the brights come on, it kind of does this rise up effect.
Yep.
You can kind of see it rise up. You get rid of that completely. So imagine that's gone, and your lights. Let's say you have a car coming you as on towards you. Your lights will sort of dance and flicker, but like Martin says, your other side is still lit up. So you'll kind of see the lights kind of dance and flicker by turning off, and as that car and beam forming basically as that car comes around or by, but you'll not see that automatic like rise of come back on like you used to see it. So it just kind of dances and boop, it's back on. It's really, really cool, and it makes a huge difference out in not even just the country, but really just any dark road.
Every single lightning ever made can have this.
Has them.
All
literally,
of them.
which is kind of crazy.
So, Jace, you enabled this. Did you notice a difference right away, or did you?
Oh yeah, we tested it that night and we noticed it right away. We were like, "Wow, this is a game changer." Right?
You have some of those back road type scenarios, or you could notice it even. Okay. And did you enable anything else?
Seconds from. I tried to enable the Bayo spoke, or what's the thing called for the.
I was going to ask you.
For the B&O, Bayo Sonic, and it for some reason did not work in my truck. I don't know. I did everything to the T, and it would pop up just like that equalizer and Bayo Sonic. Yeah, I tried.
Okay, because that you got your programming button, the one right above it. You got to go in and reboot those modules. Okay.
Yeah, I rebooted them all. Like I did it 3 times.
Okay.
Just to see, and it would pop up. The equalizer would pop up, and Bayo Sonic would pop up. It no longer said tone settings, just like it used to. And what I would push Bayo Sonic, and it wouldn't do anything. So
yeah, maybe you guys get together on a FaceTime or something and see if there's a step missing.
We just need to compare the module codes from one they're not. I
think
got a really good friend of mine who helped do some of the other stuff that we have been doing. These are pretty easy that we went over. So adding some of these things, getting rid of the rear camera view available on the backup camera. There's a lot of things you can do in about 5 minutes per code in Forscan. So if you're not familiar with Forscan, get you a $25 cord off of Amazon. You download Forscan. It's a few bucks for the full version. And you can make changes to your truck. And there's a spreadsheet. Just Google Lightning Forscan spreadsheet. It'll come right up. It'll show you the popular things that a lot of guys like to do. Some things I like. Some things I don't care if I ever do. That's a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. Chris, we did yours, and it turned out great. You've got
you
wanted.
I didn't do the again because it's just different lifestyles, right? Like you're out there where sometimes you just moving your truck around, you don't want to have to put your seatbelt on. Yep. So that was for you. You turned off some of those chimes. Because of me with the kids, I want to know the instant one of them unbuckles something, so I kept mine on. There were a couple other options that we didn't do,
like the 30-minute power down timer that you have to do to effectively get pet mode in a Lightning. I want mine to default to off. I don't want to forget ever to leave the truck on and disable that timer, because if we go in a restaurant, it's 100 degrees. I want my pups to make sure they're nice and cool in that truck always. So we defaulted those to off, but somebody like you might not need that. You want to make sure that the truck shuts off after 30 minutes if you forgot.
Yeah. And then even with this one, Jace, to be honest with you, man, and I'm curious, we were talking about deletes and stuff into the Lightning. I don't know what year they did it. I'm curious, how many speakers do you have in the 24 Platinum? Because I think they reduced the speakers. It's no longer the full. It's more than the Lariat, but it's not as many as the original.
I thought that was just because they removed the headrest speakers.
Is that all it was? Is it just the speakers and the headrest?
But I could be wrong.
So when I went through, I wasn't sure. Does yours has the headrest speakers or no?
No, I think they were removed, and I don't even think any 24s had it. I think they were. I don't even know if some 23s. I don't think had it. Like it was like the original 2022s.
And that's only Platinum 23s or 22s.
Yeah.
And then Greg
asked, believe the Bayo Sonic can go on the 23.
Yes, I did it on mine.
Unleashed.
Did you? Oh, I thought it was only part of the extreme
Unleashed.
B&O thing.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it makes. I got to be honest. I played with it. I didn't notice. It's not a big game changer. But I
so
put it on the 23.
That's
Josh
kind of
and
where
Chuck
I was
has
going. Did you notice a difference on the 23? Because I'll be honest, I don't notice a single difference when I hit all these buttons and all these things. It's just
I didn't notice. I didn't really notice any difference. I mean, you can, if you really get on the right song and you go from like podcast to party, you can kind of sort of hear a difference, but it's no different than playing with equalizer. There's not anything you can do with the music it's not like Matrix headlights. If you switch over to equalizer and move the treble and bass around, it's going to do effectively the same kind of thing. It's just a new way of looking at it.
Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode, guys. We'll throw out a couple little shout outs here from the comments just to hit them up again. And, we've had, Wes chimed in. A great interaction with Wes and everybody with Paul and SC510, 510, shout out, right? Great to see you out here. And Paul, I just love it. I'll never get over. Oh, no, that's not Paul. That's everyone outdoor. I was confusing that with Paul.
Up north. Yeah, he got his lightning, and I appreciate everybody commenting in our chat. It really makes us feel like we're not out here on our own just talking to us three guys.
Talking to ourselves. Yeah. And Wes again.
We do that too,
I
guess. If we could definitely do that. We do that on Twitter all the time.
Right. I love talking to you guys regardless. So the fact that anybody's like kind of joining us for the conversation is a lot of fun,
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And then Wes just talking about you can really notice it in the fog. I'm kind of going to look forward to that actually. As we get to the foggy weather, that should be fun. So yeah, just great.
It's a game changer. I love them so much.
If anybody wants to follow along, you should see posts from me tomorrow on the F-150 Lightning Owners group for the trip to get our 23 from Dallas. So about 6 hours down, 6 hours back tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah. Can't wait. That'll be fun.
I wish we were taking the XLT to bring home the Lariat, but it's not ready, so I have to take a Dodge Diesel. And I hate that.
All right, guys. Well, I'll be out for a couple weeks. I'm going to miss you. And in the meantime, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Turn Down for a Watt and Martin Rebuilds and Bow Family EV on all the great platforms. We're all over the place. Help us out with those. And again, on YouTube, help us out as best you can, going in, hitting some likes, dropping some comments. Put it on your TV and just let it play in the background, guys. All that kind of stuff is awesome for us. So
that's a great idea. I know
Paul Threads too. Don't forget
Paul
Threads.
Does that in Iowa.
Threads. I'm on Blue Sky, Threads. I'm on all these. Yeah.
I just hit 80K today, so we're gonna keep
huge,
going.
dude. I need to ride your coattails, man. You need to get me onto that Threads
train. Get over there. I'll retweet you or rethread you, whatever.
Yeah. I'm on there, but I don't get hardly any interaction.
And I'm hoping for 100K by hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks. I should be able to hit it.
So if you guys want to help us, if you're
so much,
cave, home shop, whatever, get a TV up, throw up Bow Family EV, throw up Martin Rebuilds, and just let it play in the background. It'll help us out so much.
Yeah,
definitely, man. Definitely.
All right, guys.
Take us home, Martin.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Chris, we'll see you in 2. Appreciate everybody for bringing us home. That's going to wrap it up for Tech Charged.
Thanks, guys.